Welcome to a re-recording of the audio for what was a live stream of my rebuilding of the farm. Sadly, the microphone that I was using went faulty as we went through the live stream, and it's a real shame because it's the best live stream that we've ever done. But what we were doing was we were taking a good look at this particular. I won't call it a farm just yet because at this moment it's just a plot of land with a single-story house that you can see in front of you, and most of the equipment on here is not our equipment. The pickup truck straight ahead, that's ours. As you can see, we'd already built some storage sheds, a silo. We also own a lorry which is out in the fields currently doing some work. We have a fishing pond. Behind the fishing pond there is a chicken coop and a beehive. But today is all about building this farm up a little bit bigger. We've got plenty of money in the bank, nearly $500,000. We have a lot of contracts on the go, which we will flick in and out of just to show you what's going on. But ultimately, this is 3 hours of work condensed into about 40 minutes, where we see what we've actually been working on. These chickens are not very happy because we've had them 2 months and I haven't fed them yet, so we will have to deal with that at some point during this. But I'm going to try and go through it with as much as I can, the way we would have done in the live, but it is realistically a commentary on the recording of what we did. And I could only apologise for the failure to do that. I literally broke my headphones at the very start of it, and as the recording went on, it got worse and worse until the point where I finally realised that we'd done about half an hour with no vocals whatsoever, no audio at all. So yeah, it was a bit of a shame because, like I say, it was the best live stream that I've ever been on. It was great to see interaction in the chat. But the first thing that we are going to do, as you can see, we're just looking around this particular field. We do not own this field at this particular moment, but in a very short period of time, this is the field that we are going to be looking at buying. So have a good look around because this farm is about to be changed drastically, all in the space of one episode. So we're out in the field. We're doing multiple baling contracts again. This is about the third episode out of 4 where that has been the case. We have chucked in a cultivating contract just to mix it up a little bit, but we're not going to bore you with everything. All the flashing numbers that you can see on the map, there's many more out of view as well, are the ones that we're doing. But we've got the mower working on one field, the windrow on another field, the baler waiting for the windrow, and everything is coming together. It's all working, I would say, almost like clockwork. We have edited out all the AI crashes that are absolutely hilarious. The tangles and the scrapes that they seem to get themselves in. But yeah, we can only do what we're gonna do. As you can see, I'm using courseplay to set the mower up on what is actually the final field, I think, for the mower. We also have the TLX out working as well. I've just unwrapped the windrow from being tied up to that telegraph pole. I don't quite know how the AI managed to do that, but we got it sorted in the end with no cheating whatsoever, I can assure you. And what we decided to do is collect all the bales up on the back of the lorry and spread them out on a field and let the wrapper do all of the bales on one field. That is the plan. So with the baler now, we're just finishing off what I believe is the second to last field. Off the top of my head, I think there's no more fields to go after the one that the mower and the windrow are currently working on. And yeah, we go along, and that was a false start because having switched from vehicle to vehicle, I forgot to put the baler back on again. But now he's back on, and we can see that he's going back to the start. I had to basically control all of the baling myself because I haven't fully worked out courseplay yet. I have to confess that when the windrow was, it's one of the windrows where it gathers all the straw from one side in a swath and then turns around and puts the opposite side onto the same swath. And I haven't worked out how to get the baler to cope with that kind of thing. So if you set the baler up to run the same course as the windrow, it quite literally just runs down the middle of the middle in between the swaths. Doesn't pick anything up. So yeah, that's the baling being worked on, and I did it all myself. It was all my own hard work again. So the more of the automation came going on the other stuff. So all this has been done with a plan to completely, I say rebuild the farm, but actually we're looking more at building the farm, turning what has been just a plot of land with a small house on into the actual forecourt of what hopefully will be an expansive farm on this map over the course of the next few weeks as we go through it. This is probably the one episode where we're going to see more dramatic changes than ever before. All the other episodes have been real hard slogs of doing contract work, trying to raise the funds to be able to buy the relevant land. And so we've got the baler nearly finished this field now, so he will then be moving on to the final field. The truck with the low loader will collect the bales from this field and take them to the field next door to the second to last field, and hopefully there the bale wrapper will wrap up all the bales, and that will be that all done. And there's no evidence there that I was not concentrating and nearly drove off down to a completely different field when I should have been just finishing off these swaths. This tractor is a tractor that we took out a cultivating contract with. It's one of the big quirks of this particular save is that we are now currently 6-7 months into it now, and we still do not own a single tractor. We have managed to do everything that we do with borrowed items. We haven't even leased one. So it just goes to show that you can use the equipment from a loan to keep your farm going, or certainly the tractors anyway. The other equipment you can't use on your own land. It would not allow you to do it. But the tractors can link up to any equipment that's yours, and you can do it. So as we look at setting the windrow up onto the final field, hopefully this will be done nice and quickly so that we can get on with the farm build. And there we go, we set the windrow off. And we keep a check on the mower. The mower is still working away. So what you've just seen there is the low loader has dropped off all the bales and is now trying to spread them around the rest of the thing. So when the mower is finished, the mower will then take over I think it's a case tractor will then pick up the bale wrapper and begin to try and collect all these bales that we've laid out on the field next door to the final field. So what we did was, whilst we're waiting for the mower, we decided that this is the time when we should go and buy the field next door. So field 32, 189,500 is bought, and the first thing we do is what we've been looking to do all along, is look at what sheep pasture we can get. We've managed to go for this massive one, which holds up to 300 sheep. Fitting it in was a little bit of a challenge. We wanted it to go at the bottom there, but it just wouldn't find a point where we could get to all the drop-off points and it would fit in well. So what I had to do was go alongside the pond, as you can see, going that way towards the road, and it wasn't really ideally where we wanted it to go, but we could only do what we could with the land that we had. And it does leave us a bit of a Z-shaped piece of land which we can grow some grass on, which we'll be able to mow and cut, and that will adequately keep these guys fed, so that we probably won't have to keep doing the baling contracts in the context of feeding the animals for free, because that grass will just keep growing and we can keep mowing it when we've got our own equipment. Of course, to do that we would need to be attaining some tractor of some sort, whether that's using a tractor for a contract and just buying all the baling equipment, or we do bite the bullet and buy a tractor. But this is a quick tour of the sheep pen. You can't actually go into the doors, and as you will see, I do try very hard to go into the doors, but they don't open, which is a little bit of a shame. I was hoping that we could just pop our heads in and see what was going on inside the doors, but despite all my trying, it would not let us in. So, having got the sheep pen, that leaves us with the dilemma now of, how many sheep do we get? What equipment do we need? And the biggest disaster, in fact, with all of the equipment is the fact that when I bought it, none of it connects to the pickup truck that I've got, so it was a little bit useless, really. So that's just a very quick overview of the farm, and it's what I was just showing you there was the Z shape that was left, which we could turn into grass. Before we went on to actually looking at what sheep that we would have, and the question is, do we go for the all white or the black faced with a white body, the chocolate brown with a black face, or the all black bar black sheep? And that was a decision that we had to be made. We took a long time deliberating over it, but eventually we went for the white with a black face. Just a two-tone colour was probably what finally made the decision for us. And we went for 60, which was the maximum you could buy in one go. It can take up to 300, but rather than buy 300 sheep, why not start with the 60, and within a year or two you'll have the 300, but you haven't paid any less, and you've had time to build up and manage the amount of grass and hay that we need. We do have an awful lot in storage, which will keep them fed. And we have a pond right on the premises, which is going to help with providing them with water. But at this exact moment, we have no equipment. So the obvious thing for us to do now is to go and look into the shop and see what equipment we can buy. So the first thing that we do is we head into the shop and buy one of the cheapest trailers that we can get. This is for transporting the hay or the grass out of the silo into the sheep pen. And then we bought this little trailer for transporting chicken food into the chicken pens. Then the final piece of the jigsaw is the liquid trailer, which we had to buy we did buy all these with the thought of connecting them to the pickup, so the pickup could actually manage this little bit. But as it turns out, it isn't compatible. It doesn't connect to them, so that just made things a little bit more confusing. So that was it. We bought the water container. Then, like I say, we couldn't fit the pickup to it, so along came a tractor to come and save the day. We chose the one that was designed for the ploughing, not actually being used for the ploughing job, to come back to the farm and come and do the work that was now needed for the animals. Remember, this was just killing time while we waited for the mower to finish that final field so that we could then get the mower doing the bale wrapping. So what I was talking about here, I believe, was that this field next door is a field that we did want to buy, but the challenge we had is even if we bought it today and got enough money for it today, there was literally today only to get it ploughed and get it seeded with wheat, which is um, the chosen crop for it, which we were gonna have to get done by the end of the day. So even though all the contracts are nearly done that we've done, there's a lot of contracts being done today. We're going to build the whole farmhouse and all of that kind of stuff. We've already bought and built an animal pen. So even though there's so much being done today, even at the end of the stream, there's going to be a lot of work left to do at the next live stream. So we use a tractor and connect it up. First of all, we're going to collect some hay that we've got stored in the silo, so that can go over to the sheep to feed them. The sheep, of course, can feed on grass or hay. It doesn't matter which. I don't think it makes any difference to the productivity of them. But they must feel very privileged because they've only just arrived and they're already getting fed, and the poor chickens have been here 2 months and not been fed yet. So, but having gone a long way through, we finally found the hay and loaded up. And an expert cut, which hides all the diabolical attempts from myself at reversing into the right position. In the end, it was given up, and I took a very close pass to the building and was able to tip the hay into the sheep's feeding trough. And all of a sudden, we have happy sheep, but albeit very thirsty. But that was a sheep fed, and at least that's part of the daily chores that we're going to have to do now, is just keep an eye on the levels of food for the sheep and for the chickens. So every day when I wake up, it's going to be a case of going to have a quick wander around. It's a good job they're not too far from the base, really. So then it's just a case of coming and having a look at the sheep and what they're up to. We got this one already digging into the hay. He's quite happy, and another one's realises food and starts running towards it. So we take the trailer and go and just park it up out of the way for a moment whilst we need to finish the job with the sheep so that they can be completely happy. I decided to leave the trailer there for now, right in between the silo and the sheep. We are going to build some sheds for them, but it's just going to be a short while before we can afford to do that, because whilst we do have money in the bank, obviously if we're going to buy that field, we're not going to have money in the bank for long. So next, we're going to head for the water container. And with that hitched up, we head for the pond. I apologise for the course play being on there, but obviously when you're on for 3 hours, remembering to switch these things off was sometimes quite a challenge. So we collected the water. It did take me a while to figure out that you had to open the cover before you could collect water. I edited that out because, again, it would make me look silly. A little bit easier to get to the water drop-off point. I still missed it by a short bit, but I was able to accurately reverse and fill the water up for the sheep. So, having done all that, it was time to go and park up the water container to free of the sheep, happily munching away at the hay. Some of the others having a good look around. I mean, it looks amazing. I really do like the pens and the animals in Farming Simulator. It really does add something to the game. And I know it's not really designed to be a main focus of the game, but it is really something that I love seeing in the game. It is really good. So the next task that we've got is we need to give the chicken some food. You know, they're looking pretty scrawny by now because they've not been fed for as long as we had it. I couldn't put the chicken feed where I wanted to right by them. For some reason, the screen would not allow it to go far enough towards the edge of the map, which is where the chickens are. So, unfortunately, every time we feed the chickens, we're going to have to drive from either the silo where the wheat will be or the selling point that we've put in for the chicken food, which effectively is just a home delivery service for chicken food, which, let's face it, in this day and age, there aren't many people who are going to go to the shop and buy chicken food when most places will do home delivery for that sort of thing. I mean, heck, you could even get all of your takeaways, McDonald's, whatever it is, all delivered these days. You don't have to go to the shops for very many things if you really don't want to. I think it was a little bit of a culture shock when we actually did load the trailer up. We got 4,000 litres in the trailer, and it cost us just short of 6,000. I mean, that was a hard thing to swallow for somebody who does not like to spend out unnecessarily. So it was a case of making a decision of how I was going to just turn it back into the yard without taking out the gatepost. Admittedly, there's always at least one point in every episode that we've done so far where my poor gatepost has been knocked over. It's just stupidly placed, really, and you can't move them. When you go out of the game and reset, they always come back to where they were originally. And so there's not a lot we could do about that. So with all the wood there, it was a little bit of a challenge to get the tractor lined up for the food. But with me being such an expert tractor driver, with me being such an expert tractor driver, we got it there in one go. How impressive was that? The actual chicken pen only takes 1,000 litres, so that left me with 3,000 litres in the trailer, which obviously I could have left in the trailer and just, you know, hooked up a tractor and tipped it out whenever we needed um, wheat to go and feed the chickens. But to keep the realism of it, I took it over to the silo, and that's where we're going to deposit the rest of the chicken feed. I think this silo was probably the only main reason we could call this a farm rather than just a house, was because we've got a silo there and maybe the machinery sheds as well. Just give it that little bit of a hint that this might be a farm and not just a house on a plot of land. But having said that, we had no fields at this point. We were working other people's fields. We did get the windrow finally to the last field, and it was just a case of setting it on its way. The lawnmower was for some reason happily mowing away, and it had already mowed everything, so I don't know what was going on there. So we took control of it, took it off the field, and attached it to the bale wrapper. So that was the mower stuff deposited. And so the plan was, of course, that we'd brought all the bales on the low loader, and the wrapper would now be happily wrapping them away, whilst we were able to carry on with finishing the final field and all the other stuff. And when they were all wrapped, the low loader would reload them all back on, not having to travel from field to field, and be able to take it away. So then it was back to the baler, and single-handedly, manually doing it. I mowed the grass. I baled the grass, should I say. So yeah, and after an interruption in my second attempt at recording, we continued the baling, just getting this penultimate field completely baled and done, and then it would be on to the final field and finishing off that. And then we came to then we get to the really exciting part, which we've all been waiting for. That is creating our brand new home, our brand new farm. So, having failed to load, to be able to wrap all of those bales on the field adjacent that you can see, because the wrapper would only wrap one and then that'd be it, it'd be done. We then moved all the bales onto this field, and with a little bit of hard work at getting the course play to cope with the sheer amount of bales that there were, we did finally manage to get all of the bales wrapped. You can see one in the top corner that's not wrapped yet. That's because the wrapper is still going around and finishing off what it's doing. But we loaded up. We even gave the truck a little bit of a test of speed to see whether we could get it up to 90 miles an hour, which is the top speed of the truck. But I have to admit that even though we managed it on the way back, it turned out the only reason we managed it was because we were on the wrong road, and so we'd driven way past where we needed to be, and we're completely lost. But on the attempts to drive at 90 miles an hour on the road which we were, it was just short. We couldn't quite manage it, and every time we nearly went sailing past the turning that we needed. So this is just a little bit of field shortcutting on the very first trip as we head to the farm shop south. And on the farm shop south, this would be a sale of the silage bales, which would actually complete all but a couple of the contracts that we had. Whoa! I forgot I hit what I think was a swath that had been left from one of the fields that we'd done. But when you're doing 70 mile an hour in a truck and you hit something like that, it's amazing that we managed to keep it. I do remember at this exact moment in the filming of it, I made reference to the fact that on the same night of recording this, I witnessed Faber get himself stuck in a tree with one of these trucks, which was a very impressive feat. He did also take several dunks into the river as well, so it does show that they can be hard to control, and it's very amusing when things go wrong, just like that. I thought I'd edited it out, all the idiot. idiotic crashes, but obviously not. In fact, I have had to say that this is a very tight um, shop to get into with this huge lorry, and it did show in the standard of my driving on this particular recording that I probably crashed several times every time I went into it. But so that was most of the contracts finished, and we just had really a couple of trips left, which would finish off the main contracts and give us enough money to build our farmhouse. So while we were waiting for that final field to be finished, we decided to look at the farmhouses and try and pick which one we would have. But that came with a very important decision: was do we keep or do we get rid of the house that is currently there? Obviously, if we're going to keep a new, if we're going to build a new house, it seemed pretty pointless to have on the same space this rundown, rickety, old wooden house. So the decision was made, and we destroyed it. It was gone. And then the next decision was, where were we going to build? So, having moved out of the way, the trailer with the header on, we found a collectible that must have been somewhere around the house. And so we collected that collectible. That gave us an extra £1,000, which could be absolutely integral in helping us to afford our farmhouse. So then it was down to selecting our farmhouse, and eventually, after a lot of deliberating, going through the different houses, we looked at the big houses, we looked at the small houses, we looked at houses that were too expensive, we looked at houses that were actually quite cheap. We saw some that were similar to the house that we'd already just got rid of and decided that that wouldn't be a good idea. We looked at houses that had cow sheds attached to them, granaries and silos attached to them. There were so many houses to choose from that it actually proved quite difficult to go for any specific house. And we did really spend a long time trying to consider what we were doing. And as we were doing this, you may notice in the top right corner, then it just told us that the ploughing job on field 73 was finished. So again, here we're just looking at all the different houses. How would they look? How would they fit? Trying to make a decision on what we were going to have. But again, this one, we could have bought this, but it would have left us with absolutely no money left to buy the field next door. That would have meant that we'd have been struggling to find the finances to feed the chickens all the time, which we still will be until the wheat has been grown and harvested. You know, we are a long way from being able to feed the chickens. But we did finally settle on what was quite a good valued house. A very solid brick farmhouse, um, based on the UK, based on the British farmhouses. I loved the L shape, and the only thing I was a little bit disappointed with was the bit I intended to use to park my pickup right outside did sink into the ground a little bit, which was a little bit of a shame. But at least, we backed out onto the pond, and this was the ideal location that I was hoping to have. You have two information points there. One is where obviously you sleep, and the other one near the end of the building here. That one you can use to change your wardrobe. But there we go. That was the house. I love the brick colour of it. It was really nice. And I'm actually quite happy with it, apart from the sinking into the ground, which was a little bit of a shame. But actually, yeah, I'm happy with the choice of the farmhouse, and it does leave a nice big gap for manoeuvring our lorry around. We may put some more sheds up around the outskirts of the farmyard, but certainly the lorry will have no trouble moving around in the area where we are. I was really happy with what we'd achieved in that. We then recognised that the ploughing had been completed, so that was now all of the jobs completed. So we collected the money for it all, and instantly that left us enough money to be able to find farmland number 28. And so that was what we did. We bought the farmland, and then I just wanted to highlight farmland 196, which is a grass area that we will intend to buy as soon as we possibly can. We could afford it now, but it would leave us no money to do the seeding and planting of the field that we've just acquired. But this is just a quick look at the field that we have. It is very rectangular, square, however you want to describe it. A little bit hilly, but it's a great piece of land, and it's going to be good fun harvesting that when it comes to the time. And it's going to be so nice walking out from your farmhouse around the corner of the building to see this lovely golden wheat just growing alongside. I can't wait for that sort of time where you can walk through the golden corn. Then obviously we've got the grass in this field that we're going to grow, and roughly where I'm stood I intend to put some sheds just to give us extra places to park the trailers and that you can see, which will be used for the animals. So that is it. That is 3 hours of hard work transforming a farm, all going into less than 3/4 an hour of video. And I really hope you enjoyed it. I really hope you can get excited about the work that we're doing here on the farm in East Vinelands, NJ. I appreciate that it wasn't the live stream that we normally have because of the corruption to the audio. But I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you can appreciate that even though it wasn't all done in a live stream, what we did get to do in the end was convert a plot of land into an actual farm. And there's a lot of work still to go, but we look forward to seeing that done over the coming weeks and months. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again at the next live stream. Bye.